everyone these days, everyone knows what artificial intelligence is, right? Most people that I know, even people you wouldn't predict to, use AI in some way over the course of the day or the week. When it comes to money, there's AI either in the foreground or the background of how you spend and save and borrow and invest and all those things. So I wanted to talk more about the financial services sector and how it's using AI, the good, the bad, and the ugly for consumers. And our guest is probably the most qualified person in this country to have this conversation. Preet Banerjee is a financial educator. He is a speaker. He is a doctor of behavioral finance, whatever that means. And he is in London, England today with his cool little phone booth in the back of his Zoom shot. Preet, it is great to see you.
It is always a pleasure to spend time with you, Bruce.
So I used AI this morning to help me find out about a rebate on a smart thermostat. And I didn't actually think to use AI. I just now use that instead of using Google search. When you think about recent examples that are commonplace, some that we may have heard of, some that we may not have heard of, what are some examples of where you see AI influencing our behavior around money?
All over the place. One of the things I've been seeing is people are fact-checking meetings with financial institutions about product recommendations that they're getting. If they're getting financial planning strategies, they're putting that through ChatGPT to say, hey, is this the best option out there, or is there anything else that I can consider? And so it's really raising the game for the people who are using it that way. But at the same time, there's a lot of people who are defaulting to using and believing AI too much because, as you know, there is a tendency to hallucinate, and there's also this bias to tell you what you want to hear in some cases. So if you come up with some crazy investment strategy, it'll say, yeah, this could work if you consider X, Y, Z. So it's very much a double-edged sword.
Talk a bit about the importance of the prompts that we use when we use AI as a tool. And I think of it because with that one, with the AI idea, you could ask a prompt that says, tell me all the reasons this is a terrible idea. That's one prompt versus tell me the ideas and why this is a great idea. And you're going to get a very different perspective based on the prompt.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's a lot of people who put their toes in the water with AI and they'll ask it a question and just assume that the first answer that they get is the best answer that they're going to get. And I would say that you have to use AI in a much different way than just asking questions. I think the way that you framed it is kind of like if you can use AI to be your red team, to be the adversarial analyst to say, fact check this, poke holes in this. Or if you're meeting with a financial advisor, you could say, give me the questions that I should ask to make sure that I'm going to get the best value out of this relationship. And so if you engage with it more fully, which takes a lot of time, a lot more than people thought, that people think it's one simple prompt and I get my answer magically. It's not. You got to put in some work with AI. But at the same time, I think because it's not a human, people disclose more because there's no fear of that disclosure anxiety or judgment anxiety.
One of the areas where I have a real level of concern in big picture, like for our society, is around AI and shopping. So there is a way in which these AI agents can not only provide you like recommendations, but they can take you all the way to checkout without any human intervention at all. Talk a bit about how AI is being used to virtually eliminate the friction when it comes to spending our money.
Yeah, so this next generation of AI, agentic AI, basically allows people to tick a few boxes and say, listen, I'm going to allow you to do even more stuff without oversight. And this becomes a problem because now these AI platforms are launching their own browsers. And these browsers have the ability to go on the web. They can use your credit card details to make purchases. And sometimes that can be efficient for some people who have really thought about how they set up these agents. But I think it also is a slippery slope because people like to shop. And if you don't have any oversight, what's going to limit that shopping and your spending behavior? So again, a very slippery slope. And I think the key is to really do your research as to how to use these prompts, how to use these next generation of browsers and protect yourself.
I highlighted your background in behavioral finance off the top, and I think you and I would agree that that's one of the most amazing things that we can leverage is how we use habits, how we tweak habits, how we have what works about what our brain does by default. Where does that connect to AI in the most helpful way possible versus the other side of it, which is the marketers using all the things that they've learned about how we behave to sell us more stuff?
Yeah, you're exactly right. It's a bit of an arms race when you think about it. You know, the psychology of selling is all about make things easy for people to buy stuff. And what you really want to do is add friction because it's so easy to buy things now. You know, if you think about it psychologically, when we used to pay for cash, pay in cash for things, it was very physical, very tangible, and it actually kind of psychologically hurt to fork over cash. As we switch to credit, now you get that bill 30 days later. It's not even tied so much to the time of purchase when you get the pleasure of receiving something. And now with agents being able to just do things automatically, you're removing a lot of friction. So anytime you can reintroduce friction, especially into financial decisions, I think it is a very good thing. And I'll highlight another use case of AI, and that is the bad actors out there who are using AI to get better at the psychological tricks they use to scam you out of your money. Hacking and scams involving AI is not so much about hacking systems, it's about hacking behavior. And so they can pinpoint exactly when you're vulnerable and they know all the things to do and say in order to elicit a certain behavior. So anytime you feel that there's a sense of urgency with a transaction, there's an emergency, pause, slow down and verify a secondary way because these scams are getting more and more sophisticated.
Within the primary financial institutions, so call it the big five banks, the large credit unions, where are they using AI in a way that's better for the client? And I ask the question quite intentionally with that precision, because so much of the innovation that I see from financial services is trying to get us to increase the limit on our credit card, leverage our rewards programs, like buy additional insurance that we don't need. Like there's a ton of momentum on those sorts of things. But what are they doing that actually helps me? What about me?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things. One is happening already, and another one is on the horizon, and its promise has not yet been realized. So what's happening already is chatbots for basic customer service issues. Like I'm looking for forms, I need to do a certain transaction, help me identify, a transaction. So now you have these chatbots that are running 24/7 and do a pretty good job at getting you specific information. And if they can't, they know exactly where to send you the first time to deal with a human to handle your issue. So that's good. So on the customer service side, it's helping with scale. Now, where the promise is yet to be realized is when you take a look at wealth management. Generally speaking, if you have a lot of money, you have access to better quality advisors who have been in the business a long time. They've got big teams and support systems. If you don't have a lot of money, you are more likely to be subject to someone who has a sales incentive with quotas and don't have the experience and training. And so where AI can potentially help is bringing up the floor level of quality of advice for the mass market. And the reason I say that is because more and more people are turning away from traditional channels of financial advice, human advisors, especially in the mass market. And they've turned to things like social media. And now they're turning to things like AI. So they are learning some good things from social media, some bad things as well. But they're getting a little bit more savvy because they're using these tools to be more informed. And that means that these institutions have to deliver more because they know all of the tricks and all the things that people don't like now.
Just before we go, what is the one thing you're most optimistic about? And what is the one thing you're most worried about when it comes to the intersection of AI and personal finance?
Yeah, so I think what I just described was the access to better quality advice and guidance to the mass market is something that I do already see happening. It's going to take some time, so I'm most positive about that aspect. But on the other side, it is the potential for scams and fraud. They get so sophisticated. I'll give you one scary example. It's called hyper-personalized phishing. So, from time to time, people will get a new job. They post it on LinkedIn. Now bots will scrape that data and say, hey, John X has just started a job at company Y. Let's create a fake website that looks like an HR portal. Send them an email saying, hey, I'm your line manager's assistant. Just want to make sure you get set up on payroll. So log into the portal. Don't forget to change your password because it's not secure. And upload your banking details so we can get you set up to get paid. And people are thinking, yeah, this is a normal thing that happens when you join a new company. So their guard is down, but they've now given up this information. And so this is an example of how sophisticated these scams are getting. So people need to be very, very hyper vigilant all the time.
Okay. Okay. Noted. Hypervigilance activated. Thank you for your wisdom and insight. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Bruce.
Preet Banerjee, financial educator, AI expert, behavioral finance PhD dude, all the things. He joined us today from London, England.